All right, welcome back. So if you were able to arrive a little bit early today, you had a little invitation to write on the screens. And we even stopped, and about 5 minutes to 9, we named that we would love for you to do just a little bit of writing. So we want to give a couple minutes to you right now in case you didn't get to do that. If you did, you can add if you'd like. Today we are focusing on a new text type in our writing workshop mini lesson, and that is argument. If you're at K5, you call it opinion. You have a chance right now to do a little bit of drafting on a quick couple sentence piece that would be an argument writing. Now, you do not have to do this as if you were writing this as a model to use with students, like we named yesterday with the Don Murray quote. This is writing for us sometimes. So what are you thinking about right now? What's something in your world about which you have an opinion? And maybe something that's been kind of ruminating with you this summer, and you have a very clear claim about that thing, and you'd like to spend a little time writing about it. And, maybe providing some evidence about why you feel this way, why you have this opinion about this thing in your world. And then, if you have time to kind of support that with a couple sentences, with some evidence, maybe some description, feel free. Couple sentences, and then we are going to actually enter into a mini lesson. No need, I said this morning, and everybody said, whoosh, no need to get online and find exact, claim or evidence to support in that way. It can be anecdotal evidence, that's fine. Okay, so in classes, sometimes students are in writing partners. Today we're going to come to our meeting area with our writing partner. You don't have that established yet, and I have a very explicit way I'd like you to establish that writing partner. Of course, in a classroom, that will have been established. That would be an ongoing partnership so that relationship is something that carries on across many, many lessons. The way I'd like you to partner up with someone is via the technology tools that we have in the room. Because in our mini lesson, we are going to be going right to some resources online. Some of us had the joy of being able to see Chris Lehman last week, 2 weeks ago maybe, one of the authors of Pathways to the Common Core and Falling in Love with Close Reading. And he and Christy Mraz and Kristen Zemke, who presented that week, really encouraged us to think about the technology that not only our students are very familiar with, very well versed at, but also the technology that is entering some of our schools. Are any schools considering or already to a one-to-one model? Okay, so maybe a quarter of us or a fifth of us. If you are high school, there's always that debate of students who have devices with them and whether or not that should be utilized. But what we're going to do today is just kind of mix it up a little bit. You've got 3 mini lessons across this week, so we've been really intentional. Jen's yesterday, mine today, Amy's tomorrow. We really wanted to provide a lot of options. So what we do with technology today is just to kind of help you to think about different ways. Please don't be hindered by your lack of technology in your classroom if you think, I can't do this, because all we're really doing is going to the chart that we would be using for this mini lesson instead of using paper. So kind of that paperless mentality, and that's the spirit of the work when we're here at this Kent Innovation High School. And also it's to be able to access a few different mentor texts and not have to copy all those texts off and give them out in paper. That's always awesome, and that works, especially if it's something you're going to use a lot. But today, the mini lesson is an apprenticeship model, and we want to apprentice ourselves under other writers of argument, so we want to be looking at several pieces. Okay, so that's the justification. We're ready to do this. The process I think that would be helpful is, for one, everyone needs a large sticky note. You have sticky notes in your baskets. If you could please take 1 or 2 large sticky notes. If you write large or write a lot, you might want to put that right on your writer's notebook. Everyone will need a writing utensil, your writing notebook, and that large sticky note. Then consider the technological device you have. If you have a smartphone and you are well-versed at accessing websites on that, and you could go to our bit.ly site, bit.ly/grandma-that-transfers, feel free to access that now. If you have an iPad or an iPad mini, that would be ideal because it's small. So if we think about gathering together, or a Chromebook, nice and small is helpful. And some of you have laptops, so if you're comfortable bringing those, if they don't need to stay attached, that would work as well. Those of you who either don't feel comfortable moving your technological device or do not have one here today, no worries. Could you please look for someone who does? And as we gather up, your writing partnership is going to be with someone so that your partnership has a technological device and you can look on with someone else. It'd be hard for 3 people to look on one screen and be able to read that mentor text. Okay. Writing partners, will you please grab your resources that we named and meet me at our meeting area. Thank you for coming. Writers, we've been writing our argument paragraph. We are in our argument paragraph unit. We're about halfway through that unit. We are ready to dive into session 8. So we've been thinking about what we do, what writers do when they write argument. We've been thinking about big pieces like stating a claim. Sometimes you've heard that called a topic sentence. We're calling it a claim, and that claim makes a statement about something in your world. You also, in your writing, you might have it right here, right now, feel free to open up to your piece, to a piece, an argument piece. You also are learning about including evidence. Sometimes that's anecdotal, sometimes that's quoted evidence from a source. And then we've been talking just yesterday about thinking about the commentary we write about that evidence to link our evidence with our claim. We're doing this all because we are writing for a reader. We're writing for readers. And we're thinking about the way we write this argument, knowing that our readers are going to be reading, and all of that process informs the choices we make. So today, we're going to think about one more choice that writers make when they're crafting their argument. And since we're in the drafting stage, we're going to play around with a couple different ways that you could format this paragraph that you're working on. And so I ask you to be flexible today, writers, because you might have something that you're really proud of and it's really flowing for you, and that's excellent. But like we know writers do, we're going to try a few new pieces. You brought together a large sticky note, and that's for you to draft maybe another way to organize this argument piece. Let me show you what I'm talking about. And instead of a chart, I invite you to go to the bit.ly that we're working out of. And colleagues, there are lots of other ways you could do this with, I'm just stepping out right now, lots of other ways you could do this with technology. One of the things that was mentioned quite a bit at that institute was that you could have a Today's Meet going on in your classroom. Kristen Zemke actually doesn't use sticky notes anymore. She's transferred to having online feedback during her mini lessons and using that and collecting that. So that's kind of really innovative, and I'm far from that, but we did want to try some of the things that we've learned. So as you're getting to our bit.ly, it could be something else, we are thinking about different ways to format our argument piece. And I want you to click on the first link for today's mini lesson. It's named Student Writing for Argument Mini Lesson. And do you notice the next link is not linked yet? And do you notice what I typed? It's not live yet on purpose. I will make it live in just a moment. All right, student writing, here we go. With their colleague, please put this so that your colleague can see that, so that everyone has their eyes on the text. I want to share a couple examples. When writers of argument think about the structure of their text, they're really thinking about how am I best going to promote my claim with evidence, and how could that go? Look at the very first organizational style. You might need to scroll down a little bit so that you see all of the words for block organization. One way that you could be thinking about this, and right now as we read this, you might be kind of glancing back at your writing and seeing, did I do this? Is there actually a name for the way that I started to structure my paragraph? So one way is claim, evidence, another piece of evidence, commentary, and another piece of commentary. Evidence and commentary are often linked, but one way you could do this would be to block those. So it would go like, I think this about the world, and let me tell you another person who thinks this, and here's another example of where that goes. And then moving into the commentary with, now, that person who said this really supports what I'm saying because, commentary. And the place where this is happening could be one solution because, Do you see how that block format could go? And maybe some of you are thinking, yeah, that's what I did. Or not. There are not only two ways, but let me show you the second way we're exploring today. This alternating organization, maybe this is how you were thinking. Where claim, I think this. Evidence, here's one other person who has this. Or here's a place where this happened. Commentary, and that supports what I'm saying because. New piece of evidence, new commentary. So, those are just two ways, but really let's work today and think about how did the flow of my evidence and commentary that we've been working on for a couple days now, did it really promote my exact claim for my reader in the strongest way possible? Okay, with your partner, now it's your turn to try. Go ahead and scroll down. We have a couple samples of student writing. And we're going to decide if those samples were organization style A, that block style, claim, evidence, evidence, commentary, commentary, or organization B, claim, evidence, commentary, evidence, commentary. You have them above if you and your partner need to scroll up. Go ahead and turn and talk. Read the first student example of their claim about uniforms in schools. And as you read with your partner, you might be highlighting what you see as evidence and seeing if, maybe in a different color, the commentary is flowing right after that evidence or later. Go ahead and chat, read through that, talk with your partner, and decide, is that first example block organization or the second organization, which we all need to look back, alternating organization. Go ahead, turn and talk. You ready to do this? Highlight if you choose. It's not imperative that you'd be highlighting right in your text. Actually, if you highlight, it's Google Drive. Others will see. So maybe you're talking through this right now.